All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. It is Wednesday, April 1st. We are live as we get ready to close out the first day of April. And it looks like if nothing changes in the next 14 minutes, we will be ending out green on the day. 656 on the S&P. That's up almost 1% on the day. Now, we did get a little bit of a reversal earlier, about 2 hours ago. There's that V, as you can see right here. We went from 658 all the way down to 653. There was a headline that came out. That headline we will talk about and discuss kind of what that headline means. Also, we have Trump addressing the nation at 9 p.m. tonight. So obviously there's going to be a lot of anticipation for what Trump says, which is also potentially impacting the markets. But that headline that did come out had some implications on how the market was interpreting this war, which is why we went down. We are recovering, though, which is, I think, very healthy to see. The fact that we went all the way down basically eliminated the majority of today's gains, and now we're coming right back up towards the close. It means that people started buying the dip. They decided that this is real momentum that's there, typical kind of buy the dip behavior that we've seen over the past couple of years, actually coming back into reality for what feels like the first time in a couple months. I mean, we have not had that intraday pullback, but then reversal to the upside by the end of the day. At least we didn't see any of that in February. And quite frankly, we didn't see much of that in March. So the fact that it's coming back, I do think is a little effective here in terms of just sentiment. 656 on the S&P 500, although a lot of names were not able to recover. SoFi, still red on the day. Microsoft, still red on the day. Rocket Lab, it was at 69 at one point, 65.83. That one's going back down. Regionals and biotechs are up a little bit, but they were up more. Amazon was up more. That one still down. NVIDIA did hit almost 178, now back to 176. It fell all the way to 174.81, so still a good day for NVIDIA, but did not get any momentum to break out into that 180 range. Meta holding on. Meta was at 592. I know it's at 582, which is not that good, but it was down at 576, and it was almost below 500 a couple days ago. So the fact that Meta is still giving you a 1.8% move right here is not too bad. Intel as well bought back about $14 billion of their debt. That's why Intel is up right now, 8.3% of the day. So what happened during the day that caused a bit of a sell-off? Well, there's two things that happened. Number one is Trump posted that NATO allies, Trump didn't post this, but the reporting is that Trump is threatening Ukraine and NATO allies that are not supporting the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Trump has been pretty upset about this whole NATO thing over the past couple of days, threatening to get rid of the weapons and the monetary support for Ukraine if NATO does not help support the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. So that was the first headline that came out, which got the market to feel a little scared, which, again, is the U.S. really going to pull out of NATO? I don't think that's the case. Does the U.S. really want to stop giving Ukraine aid? Remember when Trump had all those comments back in early 2025? He was yelling at Zelensky in the Oval Office. At the end of the day, we gave them the aid because we don't want Russia to win. And so I don't even know how credible those threats are. But nonetheless, the reporting of that got the market to think that the war is not only escalating, but the sort of intermingling of NATO, Ukraine, the United States, and Russia is not in the best situation. And that caused a bit of a sell-off in the intraday action. So that was one thing that happened. And then the second thing is you had apparently the president of Iran who posted this letter. And I believe this is the guy that the United States is negotiating with, which a lot of people are, kind of confused. Who are we negotiating with? But this seems to be the guy. I will summarize the letter for you because the letter, I'm sorry, it was just an absolute nothing burger. There's nothing this guy really said. But he said, U.S. ties among most are misunderstood. Iran never pursued aggression. Response has been measured self-defense. And he is suggesting that the U.S. entered the war as a proxy for Israel. So there's nothing really that important or interesting or unique or different that he said, or threatening, quite frankly, that would seem to escalate the war. So I'm not sure where the market kind of sold off when this came out. It just it just wasn't that serious. And that's why I think we're recovering, right? This, along with that Ukraine headline, is kind of what got the market tripped up a little bit. And we almost lost all the gains for the day. We almost did. Got a red candle right here as we get into the close. We got 9 minutes left, 6:55 on the S&P. It still goes to show you how choppy we are. If you have your covered calls, I mean, they are still working right now. We have not had our faces ripped off yet by the market. And maybe that will happen tonight at 9 p.m. when Trump speaks. The political reporting on Trump speaking today is basically going to be rooted in Trump explaining to the American people that the war is over, and maybe that's where the futures like it. But then again, will the futures actually interpret that as being real is going to be the question tonight. From Political right here, Steve Bannon, Trump's former White House chief strategist, said the president will essentially declare victory, laying out what he's achieved in Iran and what he will do before the U.S. leaves, along with dumping on the NATO allies. It's their issue. Quote, 2 or 3 weeks, definable objectives. I came, I saw, I conquered, and we are hanging around a couple of weeks to conquer some more, maybe even a ceasefire, while reiterating that the Hormuz situation is the Gulf, Emiratis, and the Europeans to solve and declare victory. The president's decision to deliver a major address about the war's endgame, coming as an additional 2,500 U.S. Marines make their way to the region, may be primarily an attempt to calm voters' concerns and Wall Street's unease about the energy markets, which, quite frankly, have kind of been resolved with oil below 104. But, we're not deeply in the red here. It's nice to see a 2.3% decline, though. 99 in oil, at least being below 100, is important. So, I mean, what do people think? What did you do? Did you buy? Did you sell? I thought about buying some stuff. I didn't. When you see that intraday reversal, you start to remember how much it's like how painful it is to think that we're back when in reality we're not back. And so I didn't buy anything on the intraday reversal either. And now we're getting an intraday reversal of the reversal. So, I mean, like, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It is a little scary. Nebius was at almost 107. Now it's back at 102. Didn't go to those Monday lows. That we didn't revisit the Monday lows on many of these names. Zeta down 2%. See a lot of people saying they did nothing. Google, nice little day. This was almost at 300. Now it's at 296. Still close to that, but up 3.2% of the day. TQQQ is up 4%. Fastly is up 10%. Soxel up 9%. SanDisk up 9%. Micron was pushing 380. Micron now at 367, but still up $30. And that's up 8% of the day. Senate and House Republicans agreed to advance a plan to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Mike Johnson did do an interview about 30 minutes ago and said that it looks like funding for the DHS is going to officially be approved, and that will get TSA back into office or back to work, and that hopefully will resolve some of the issues in the airport. 367 right there on Micron. Some people say they bought more Tesla, bought more Nebius, Microsoft. I see a lot of people saying nothing. Again, tonight's going to be interesting if it's like a real sell the news or a buy into strength moment. Yes, strength with the G that is silent. And I guess at 9 p.m. we'll know. Outside of that, we don't have anything after hours, guys, so we can kind of just chill and talk. I mean, there's not a ton of headlines. There's no earnings. So there's not anything too serious we have to look at. This week being tomorrow and today, and then next week are the last 2 weeks we have before we start earnings. So nothing too crazy, and it is a shortened week as Friday is closed. But yeah, overall, we needed to stay green. And I mean, it looks like we're at least to an extent staying green right here. Some people saying are bought NVIDIA. Davis says, amid stop blabbering and pump our bags already. Look, we got a 3% move yesterday. I mean, we got a freaking 3% move, which is why even if we gave back everything today, I think we would still be relatively happy. But 655 in 6 minutes, if we close above 650, I don't think people would be too upset. Yes, earnings starts April 8th. Delta, United Airlines, JP Morgan, Bank of America, all the banks are going to be on today. Chris will probably be on tomorrow because we do macro Thursdays on Thursday. Today's Wednesday. So, yeah, most likely not going to be with Chris today after hours. VG also down 7% on the day. MasterCard down 2%. Zeta down 2%. VG again going down, not necessarily the worst thing for the broader equity markets. Pound right there, 146. That's green. Silver's up, gold's up. I mean, a lot of things ran today. A lot of things gave up their run, like the Irans and Nebius of the world. CoreWeave barely holding on to its green. Oracle as well, down 1.16%. But overall, as I say that, the S&P is barely holding on to 655. But it's trying. It is trying its hardest to see if we can get there. Again, the Iran president, in a letter to American people, said attacking Iran's vital infrastructure and targets to the Iranian people and such actions carry consequences that extend far beyond Iran's borders. Nothing that serious was said in the letter. So I just don't know if the markets care that deeply about that either. SpaceX also filed to confidentially go public. got a little bit of coverage on that. And that is another thing that a lot of people have been talking about today. If that is something they'd be willing to even buy as we get into their IPO.
Ed, this story that you wrote along with Bailey Lipschultz, SpaceX said to file confidentially for an IPO ahead of AI rivals. What can you tell us about timing? What did you learn?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing and the important point of us confirming via sources that the paperwork is in is it probably does put SpaceX on track for a June IPO. There has been lots of reporting about will they or won't they, as a starter gun moment for the broader IPO window. But of course, the mechanics of what they're trying to do, raising $50 billion plus maybe $75 billion at the high end at a valuation of 1.75 trillion, it's going to take a very large coalition of bankers and banks to run that book in what will be the biggest IPO in history on a dollar raised or valuation perspective. So we've known this was coming, but it is a big psychological moment for the markets that it's in, and it sets SpaceX up to execute on the groundwork that they've been putting into place for a little while now.
Now, I asked this question based on what I think I'm Beneficial put in the chat this morning, and it definitely got a lot of people talking, and the majority of the responses under this post today were pretty bearish on SpaceX. SpaceX revenue $15 billion, targeting $1.7 trillion valuation. Meta revenue $200 billion. That's only 2025, by the way. Targeting currently at a $1.45 trillion valuation. Some of these comments were weird, though. Someone was like, how can you compare a pre-IPO company and a company that's public? And I was like, well, the pre-IPO company is about to IPO and go public. So it's like, I think also, forget pre-IPO or IPO, if they're trading at relatively the same valuations, only $300 billion apart from each other, one would argue it's okay to compare a company in the private markets and the public markets if the valuation is relatively the same. So it's, you did have some people defending that the comparison makes no sense or that you can't judge SpaceX's potential. And I'm like, okay, but the growth rates, given how vastly different they are, one is doing 20 times more revenue than the other one and still trading at 300 billion less than the other's valuation. It brings up a question of just like, hey, how is this valuation actually being interpreted in the equity markets? Trump says the U.S. is talking with the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament to ABC. Okay, so Trump giving a quote right there to ABC saying we are talking to the U.S. or talking to the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament. Again, I think tonight Trump is going to talk about a lot of those things at that 9 p.m. address. We got about 40 seconds until the market closes. And yeah, we can do a preview of some of the stuff he's going to say. We can talk about a bunch of topics, anything we want to discuss here. There's not a ton of headlines to go through, not a ton of earnings. We've had a pretty volatile last 7 weeks covering the markets, and we got 2 days of relief. We got 2 days of relief on the S&P as we get into the close, and hopefully that can continue after Trump gives his address later tonight. I'll probably be live for that at 9 p.m., and we'll see how the markets ultimately move from there. All right, here we go. We got 5 seconds. Wednesday, April 1st. Let's see how we close. It looks like we are going to close right at 655.10 on the S&P, up 0.73% on the day. Stock market, once again, 2 green days in a row, is now closed. All right, we're done for the day. Done for the day. We needed to close above 652. That is correct. And we got the close above 652, 655.19, 658 is where we topped out at today. Is that correct? 658.52 is where we topped out. We went all the way down to 653. It's way better than 630 on Monday. And now we are at 655.19 as we close out the day. CoreWeave was up 1.25%. Intel, massive day buying back their debt. That was up 8.84%. Nebius was down 1.74%. You had Oracle, that was down 1.2%. SoFi down 1.57%. Duolingo was down 2%. Oscar was up 2.7%. Lemonade was up 2.5%. The Qs were up 1.24%. Not too bad. Robinhood closed at 70. Nice to see. Broadcom 313.49. Nvidia actually closed below 176. below 176, 175.75 on NVIDIA. Coke was flat on the day. American Express was down 0.3%. VG was down 6.29%. Where was Visa and MasterCard? They were down again, about 1% on each of those. So those took a little bit of a hit. Shopify was flat on the day. Where was IGV? I think we closed above 80. We closed right below 80. Salesforce and Adobe also still red on the day. These names are just not catching the bid. Microsoft also couldn't catch the bid when it comes to the software sector. And as IGV goes down, Microsoft gets hit as well. Trump is speaking at 9 p.m. tonight. 9 p.m. tonight. So we'll have a separate stream, probably starting at like 8:50 for when he goes live. Tesla right there, 381. That was nice to see Tesla get there back above 375, 381.26, up 2.56%. You had Lumentum that was up. Marvell, I think, was up after the NVIDIA acquisition, not acquisition, but I guess acquisition of $2 billion worth of shares, 106.71 on Marvell, 7.73. I mean, overall, let's take a look at the heat map. It wasn't too bad of a day. Yes, 9 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern, so 8 p.m. Central and 6 p.m. Pacific. Yeah, look at that. You had your value stocks were down. Oil and gas, wow, Exxon and Chevron both down 5%. So, I mean, that feels like the oil thesis is a little, at least the short oil go long tech thesis feels a bit more real today, given the oil stocks actually took a decline. Usually, they go down 0.3, 0.5%, then they recover, then they stay flat. So like a real 5% day on these is good for maybe some more long exposure coming into tech. Industrials were up, consumer defenses were up, tech was up, software slightly up. A lot of names were down there. And then financials, KRE, the regionals were up, JP Morgan, Bank of America. You need the financials to be thriving in order for us to have a lot of capital coming into the markets, and it looks like they did okay. One thing that's also really important to talk about is OpenAI and that $122 billion round that they raised. I think Sachin tweeted about this. It's a lot of, and we've been talking about this, but it's a lot of capital injection that's going into the public markets because OpenAI has so many vendors, distributors, companies that they work with. Obviously, the most obvious are Microsoft, Amazon, AMD, and NVIDIA, and Oracle. I mean, that's a lot of money that's being thrown into the system. And then those companies give it to the CoreWeaves and Nebiuses and Iren. So like OpenAI raising that $122 billion from the private markets, really important. Now, maybe some of that money they got from their suppliers, and they're giving it back to their suppliers. A little bit of a circular motion there, but as long as OpenAI can keep growing and get that revenue pumping in, then the street will be happy with it. And so it is important for OpenAI to continue growing at the level that they're growing at. All right, so that's what we got. That's what we got on the close. And Mid thinks we are all in NYC. Is it the bell that loud? Is it actually that freaking loud, guys? Got to be a little louder on the green day, dude. Got to be a little louder. We are not watching the Artemis 2 launch here. That's going to be in like 2.5 hours. So likely not going to watch that here. Trump did tweet about it. So Trump finally talked about it. But, dude, I didn't even know this thing was happening. I feel like it should be such a big deal. And it's like kind of went under the radar, at least from the content I follow. So Trump said tonight at 6:24 p.m. Eastern, for the first time in over 50 years, America is going back to the moon. Artemis 2, among the most powerful rockets ever built, is launching the brave astronauts farther into deep space than human has ever gone. We are winning in space, on Earth, and everywhere in between, economically, military, and now beyond the stars. Nobody comes close. America doesn't just compete. We dominate, and the whole world is watching. God bless our incredible astronauts. God bless NASA. God bless the greatest nation ever to exist, the United States of America. So that is what we got. Yes, it's Artemis. That's what it sounds like. Art and then Emis. And I don't even care if I'm saying it. That's what it freaking sounds like. Artemis. I don't even care. I don't care if I'm wrong. At this point, like, we need to start saying words the way they are spelt, not the way that they are interpreted by foreign languages. Like Artemis. Artemis. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm sticking to. That is what I'm sticking to. D-Wave down 5% after hours. Is it? No, it's down 5%. Dude, the quantum. I had the inverse quantum ETF in January when it was running up. I bought like 25 grand of it. I sold it for a $700 profit. I should have kept it, dude. I should have freaking kept it. It would have printed so hard. But in January, these names were going crazy, and I was like, And what if it keeps going crazy? And it ended up not going crazy. So yeah, quantum been a mess all year. I mean, look, maybe quantum is going to have more of a revival as more use cases come out. And this might, NVIDIA took many ups and downs before NVIDIA became NVIDIA. I'm not saying quantum is going to become NVIDIA, but if you believe in that quantum thesis, you gotta believe to an extent that it's going to have an NVIDIA-like moment when it comes to revenue and growth. And there's going to be a lot of ups and downs in order for that to get there. By the way, the quantum thing also. All right, so we can just get into a bunch of random topics again. I have no major agenda here. There weren't a lot of headlines to really go through today, so relatively simple day outside of that Iran news, which wasn't even a headline that the president put out this letter. So if anyone has any questions or topics, you can put in the chat. We'll probably be here for an hour. We'll get through some stuff. Chamath is tweeting about this Google article that says Bitcoin's done. Google paper warns crypto on quantum risk ahead of 2029 timeline. So Chamath said, I mentioned this last year on the All-In Pod and the crypto bros freaked out. Two things are true about crypto bros. They're extremely technical and extremely belief-oriented. Sometimes, though, the latter clouds the former. This paper from Google, though, is quite reasonable and raises some important technical questions. If you believe in AI leading us to AGI in the semi-near future, the most obvious honeypot to point in AGI is cracking a crypto project like Bitcoin. Essentially becomes free money. The crypto elders should start spending more effort organizing on a timescale that makes crypto quantum resistant proof in these next few years with a conclusive roadmap. I have no idea if quantum actually could destroy Bitcoin. I really have never done the research. I understand very little about cryptography and the way Bitcoin is encrypted. It would not be good for the broader financial ecosystem if we're trying to build on all these crypto native DeFi things and stablecoins and all this stuff. And I don't know, maybe this is just a Bitcoin thing. This doesn't have to do with Solana and Ethereum, but I would imagine if Bitcoin goes, everything goes. So I am hoping the crypto bros don't let quantum decrypt everything. Bitcoin right there, 68,000. But that is one thing that could be a massive use case for the quantum ecosystem. Chad said, yo, Chad, are you free? Can I send you a link? Because Chad was supposed to come on the show last Friday, but I had just come back from LA and I basically slept through the market close. Chad, if you're free, would love to get you on for 10 minutes. And we can talk a little bit about what things have been like post AIPCon, because we wanted to do this post AIPCon. Let's see if Chad is free. Let's see. Give me a second. I'm at the airport. Okay, cool. So I'm sending you the link whenever you're free. You can, even if you can't do it through video, Chad, even if you can only go through audio, that's fine. And we'll see if we can get Chad here on the show. All they'd have to do is hack Sailor to crash crypto. Dude, Sailor continues to buy. STRC continues to get a lot of excitement given the yield that it's putting up and the relatively stable stock. I don't know enough about how he's guaranteeing this 11.5% yield. But if you buy this thing, the asset itself is not moving. And you're getting that 11.5%, which is a lot more than other things in the stock market. So I get it. I understand why people are interested. By the way, I want to give a special shout out to Billy, who was at the LA meetup. If you're watching, Billy, let me know in the chat. Look at this candle. This is a great candle. Smells like I was right about Pounder. This is and it smells really good. It smells like a 20X, to be honest. You guys know I love my candles. I love my candles. I love them when they're fresh. You can get all the scent out. So shout out to Billy. This was a very, very kind gift. And my house or my apartment now smells just like that candle. All right. What other headlines do we got? What other stuff do we got going on? We actually didn't look at this. We should. Robinhood's month to date March numbers came out, and I saw them very briefly on Monday. They're not that great, if I'm going to be honest. They're a relative decline month. Oh, they just put out a new press release. April 28th, we have earnings. April 28th for Robinhood. They just put that out. April 28th. Okay, April 28th, which is not that far away. Not that far away at all. So we are actually pretty close to seeing a lot of these earnings officially coming back. Amit, did you mention Artemis 2 yet? Yes, I mentioned it. We'll likely not be watching it today because it's a little bit too far away. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I don't really care that much. Like, I'm trying to act excited for. I get it's a big deal. But I'm like, oh, we're gonna fly across the moon. Like I really wish I cared more, dude. I don't. So even watching it, it's like, all right, cool, it's nice. I should care more. Does anyone do people really care? Is it that big of a deal, or is it? It's a big deal. I thought we were landing on the. We're not even landing, right? It's just gonna be going. Like I'm just so. I don't know. It didn't really pique my interest like that crazy, but it is important. Equity notional volumes in March were 196 billion. Options were 187 million. Crypto were 16 billion. Event contracts 2.6 billion. Again, those numbers are decent. I don't know how strong they are to make up for some of the crappy numbers we got in February. The earnings expectations still for Hood going into next quarter, 1.25 billion of revenue, which is like 22% growth. It's not that high. So once again, it's going to be one of those things where we're going to have to see if Vlad can really beat some of these numbers, even if the core metrics are not there. And maybe it's a consolidation for year for Hood. And as they're building out all the other parts of the business, these prices will look silly years from now. But it's going to be tough for that thing to head back above 100 until the broader market rallies. I think that's what we are waiting for right now. It's obvious Amit wasn't alive in the 80s with the space program. That is also fair. I think people who were alive in the 80s when we first started really exploring space. Well, the 60s was when we first landed on the moon, right? 1969, I think. That those people have a much greater appreciation. Yeah, this is why I missed the Rocket Lab boat. That is also true. Like, if I cared more about space, I probably would have been like, oh, well, the best way to get exposure might be Rocket Lab. Although a lot of you guys believe we didn't actually land on the moon. I'm afraid to put a poll out and ask how many people think we didn't land on the moon. By the way, is the state of New Jersey trolling? Because they tweeted today that they are getting rid of self-serving gas stations, or they are instituting self-serving gas stations. And that was one of the defining hallmarks of New Jersey. And of course, I can't show the post because X is bugging. Why is X yeah, I can't even show the post right here. But I feel like it's an April Fool's joke, but then again, it's the official account, and so maybe it's not. I don't even go to the gas station anymore, and I feel bad for the New Jerseyans that now have to pump their own gas. What type of person pumps their own gas, dude? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. All right, I'll do the poll. I'll do the freaking poll. Don't troll though. Don't just vote no to vote no. Like actually vote with your heart. Do you believe we landed on the moon? Yeah, do you believe we landed on the moon? Jasmine says time to move. I think so. I think that would be. I was actually talking to someone the other day. New Jersey gets. I'm not going to get into it, but New Jersey gets a lot of hate for no reason. Like, we are the epicenter of how New York becomes New York. Like, without Jersey, you don't have New York. CNBC's headquarters are in freaking Jersey. Like, Jersey's a big deal, and people shit on Jersey way too much. Chad said he'll be on in a second. He's grabbing some room. So, although I'm joking about the gas stuff, like, Jersey's actually. And Jersey City is beautiful, dude. Jersey City, now I'm able to walk around Jersey City because the weather is not like Jersey City is absolutely gorgeous. I get a view of freaking World Trade Center while I'm eating lunch. Like, we get to actually see the World Trade. This was my view with lunch yesterday. Look at that. It's a gorgeous view versus being on the New York side. Okay, let's look at this poll. How bad is it? 60-40. 57% say yes, 43% say no. Okay. Honestly, I think we landed there. Like, I'm not that deep into the conspiracy. I think we landed. There's a freaking video. What is it? One step for man, one step for humanity, or some shit that the guy said. Like, we put a flag on it. Like, I think it's real. I don't think it was some AI shit. But I guess flat Earth poll next. The flat Earth thing is actually kind of dumb. Like, the Earth is like I probably can't even fight back too much against the moon conspiracy because I'm not that educated, but the earth is not, it's not flat. Like it's just like, it's hard. Like it's not really flat. I feel like most people should. It's like when you're talking to the Beyond Meat people, it's like this company's, it's not going to work, dude. It's like, no, it is. Like, no. It's like, it's not happening. Like, it's just not happening. It's not it. It's not it. All right. What other headlines do we have? Or any topics? If anyone wants to talk about anything, you can put in the chat. We'll see if we can talk. Oh, I did see the Iran bet tweet. I can't pull it up because Twitter is not working. Is it working now? Dude, every other day this thing is okay. It's back. It's It's slower though. No, it's not working. I can't. Basically, someone on Polymarket is betting $800,000 that the U.S. is going to, what was it? Put ground troops in Iran, and it was the same crypto address that bet on the initial strikes on March 4th. So it was someone who got it right before. 800,000 it's almost $1 million. It's not a small amount of money. I can't show the post, but maybe that's something that could, potentially lead to escalation of the war. JKL, thanks for the super chat. Oil goes up from here. Trump is asking other countries to take over for the U.S. and get the Strait open. Well, look, I am not the most educated on the Strait, but I would imagine if we were to leave Iran in the next 2 to 3 weeks, the Iranians will eventually open the Strait on their own. Obviously, Trump wants to get that to happen in the next couple of days, not the next couple of weeks, and he probably can't leave in the next couple of days, which is why he's going to address the American people today and talk about a 2 to 3 week process, which is what he talked about yesterday. And I know he's calling on NATO allies to do that, but I imagine Iran is willing to do it once we leave. But again, it goes back to that perception that Trump doesn't want to, act like they're only opening it as they leave, because that makes the U.S. look wrong or look bad. And maybe that might be the issue of what's playing out. By the way, Trump was live about freaking 20 minutes ago for an Easter lunch. So let me pull that up real quick. I don't think we got too much from him on the Iran war, but let's just take a look at this real quick and see what he said.
Need him, which we never do. We didn't need him here either. To be honest, I was really asking because I wanted to see what they do. We didn't need him. We blasted the hell out of them, out of Iran. And the last thing I needed was NATO stepping in our way, because they're a paper tiger. But so we didn't need them, but I asked anyway. And they probably think I'm the worst salesman ever. I was the worst. They would have much preferred Franklin Graham or somebody that's a good salesman than Trump, because I'd say, we'd love to have some help. Oh, President, I'm not sure that we could. Oh, that's okay. You don't want to do it? Well, if we, oh, that's okay. You don't have to do it. So he gets off, probably says, man, that was easier than I thought. Then I call up France, Macron, whose wife treats him extremely badly. And still recovering.
I didn't know he said all of this. I'm hearing this for the first time. I didn't even know he did this lunch an hour ago. So I didn't know he said this.
From the right to the jaw. And I say, Emmanuel, we'd love to have some help in the Gulf, even though we're setting records and knocking out bad people and knocking out ballistic missiles. We'd love to have some help. If you could you please send ships immediately? No. We cannot do that, no. We can do that after the war is won. I said, no, I don't need after the war is won, Emmanuel. Many of them said, we'll be there after the war is completed. And so I learned about NATO. NATO won't be there if we ever have the big one. You know what I mean by the big one? We ever have the big one, hopefully we won't. Relationships very good with the big one, better than with NATO. But they won't be there. And we spend billions. We didn't have to go into Ukraine. Ukraine's thousands of miles away across the ocean. We helped them. We had a president who's a stupid individual. Gave him $350 billion, got nothing for it. Gave him so much money, used so much ammunition. We're making ammunition all over the place because we need it, because he gave so much away to Ukraine. Got nothing for it. And I sell them ammunition. You know, the European Union pays for it. What the hell? They have to do something, right? So they're good for paying for it. But everything we sold, we did. But I just want to tell you, NATO treated us very badly, and you have to remember it, because they'll be treating us badly again if we ever need them. And hopefully we're never going to need them. I don't think we will need them. I don't think they can do very much. I actually asked UK, who should be our best. In fact, the king is coming over here in 2 weeks. He's a nice guy, King Charles, but should be our best, right, Brooke? But they weren't our best. I said, you have 2 old, broken down aircraft carriers. You think you could send them over? Oh, I'll have to ask my team. I said, you're the prime minister. You don't have, no. I have to ask my team, President. My team has to meet. We're meeting next week. Oh, next week? But the war already started. Next week, it's not good. The war's going to be over in 3 days. My prediction, it turns out. By the way, do we have the greatest military ever? Right? We have this, right? So anyway, so we've knocked them for a loop. I don't know if you saw the explosion the other day. We got the mother load. We hit the mother load like nobody's ever. Did you see that? They thought it was a nuclear weapon, actually. I said, no, we don't use them. We don't want to use them. We have more than anybody else, but we don't want to use them. But this afternoon, I'm delighted to join the countless Christians across the country and around the world as we prepare.
Okay, looks like those were the comments on Iran. This was not live. This was about an hour and a half ago. And, well, I think Trump is going to explicitly discuss the dismay he has with NATO tonight in the speech, along with a bunch of updates on when the Iran war will end. He did mention in that another 3 days left. Obviously, he says a bunch of timelines all the time, but I guess we'll see what he says today. And, he will continue to make this argument that NATO did not support us throughout this. I think he's going to try to say we won the war, we're going to de-escalate soon, and we're pissed off that NATO didn't help us. And that's where you're going to have to see how the market interprets the relationship between NATO and Trump. By the way, this was the tweet. So this wallet just put an $800,000 bet on boots on the ground in Iran. They previously were right about the time the U.S. struck Iran first. If I go to their poly market, this guy or girl is up 400 grand in the past month. And we don't know who they are because poly market's not regulated. But yeah, I guess one thing to think about as someone makes an $800,000 bet on potential boots on the ground. All right, let's bring on someone to the show who we haven't had on in a couple months. We were supposed to do this a couple weeks ago, but we got a little busy. And let's pick their brain a little bit about what's happening in one of the most exciting technology companies on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, we have forward deployed architect Chad Wahlquist. Chad, thanks for being on.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Busier than ever. I didn't think it could get busier, and it is.
Well, so let's get right into that. AIPCon 2 weeks ago. From my understanding, it looks like AIPCon has done pretty well in terms of just customer engagement and people kind of recognizing the power of ontology in terms of Palantir and the magic, which was the theme of Palantir ontology with AIP. So what have you seen post AIPCon?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I joke, like we were talking about the magic and the theme. I don't know, for some of the people that watched the kind of the backstage pass in the middle where I was talking about, like, the idea is not magic that we're going to trick you or pull wool over your eyes, but it's going to be like the shit you didn't believe was possible is possible now in timeframes that you didn't believe was possible. And, to have a company like SAP, for example, on stage saying the fastest way to move from your ECC or legacy ERP system to your new S4 system, their product is through Palantir. That's a huge credibility boost.
Yeah.
When people see this, but like that, the other part about that they're talking about is like, we're talking about 5 months to 5 weeks. We're talking about 12 to 14 months down to 2 months. And these are like massive migrations, that I used to live in for hundreds of millions of dollars, and now we're able to compress the time. So like that has just blown up my phone. Like I'm getting text from CTOs, I'm getting emails, cold outreach online. Like I've never seen, like, literally the stuff is coming in faster than I can like triage and understand. Like, so the demand is huge. People are excited. And so like, yeah, very exciting.
So I have a question for you. I want to know if this 5 years to 5 weeks kind of thesis on how fast customers are moving. I want to know if that's faster than how fast you pulled up in this backstage path. We gotta show this to everyone.
Oh man, you're gonna make me watch this.
Welcome to AIPCon 9. Let's go look at the magic. Welcome to AIPCon 9. Let's go look at the magic. Welcome to AIPCon 9. Let's go look at the magic.
See, I have no shame, Amit. I have no shame.
Can we just do that for the rest of the stream? That's enough.
Yeah.
That's all.
You know, the people ask me, the important question is like, was that sound effects? No, that was real. I floored that thing and I landed it perfectly in front of the camera on the first shot. That was the first shot.
Wow.
So yes, that was real. That was the real sound. There was no editing to that sound at all. So it's important things.
In terms of customer outreach, what do you think at this AIP con and the clips that have gone viral that, you know, CTOs are seeing and C-suite executives, that is really creating a catalyst moment for them to reach out to someone like you?
So if we should back up a minute, just to kind of decomp the problem here is like, you know, we talk about like Palantir and we build optimizations. We help you really optimize your enterprise. We build this digital operating system. We do all these things, right? Which are these like, I want to get to the agentic operating system, right? I want to get to these things. And one of the blockers I see all the time is like, my data is not clean enough. I still have these legacy systems. I'm in the middle of a migration. All these excuses and reason why I can't, which they're not excuses in like are making stuff up. It's like real stuff that's impacting their business. Like that hey, I have a 40-year-old mainframe that I just can't maintain anymore. I need to get to this new world. So for the next 2 years, I'm spending hundreds of millions of dollars. All my people are focused on doing that. Any delays in that are hugely expensive. So people are like, well, migrations are the least sexy thing ever, right? This isn't AI. This isn't, you know, the cool stuff.
Yeah.
But using AIP and our AIFD is really the secret sauce here. We can understand your existing environment. Now we give in the demo, we give it's like SAP's ECC, their legacy system, to their new S4 and S4 in the cloud where they're wanting you to move as an example. But it's literally from any system you have to any system, but it's also transforming the business process along the way. So if I want to get from somewhere to somewhere else, so it's like I think migration does this a disjustice when we talk about that. It's really about a transformation. And that transformation is of business processes, not just the technology. It's cleaning up things. It's getting your data ready. So this migration actually is like an accelerant to all of those things that are slowing you down from doing the valuable added things. And we're doing it in, you know, days. So generally we'll show up and, you know, in a boot camp style, like 4 days, we'll do a good chunk of your migration just to prove it to you for free. And then they're like, holy cow, I want to do the full migration here. Let's do the rest of this. Okay, we'll go execute that over the next month. Well, imagine what that can do to a business and a business process. Like I've now compressed something that was going to take me the next year to a month, 2 months, whatever that is, like depending on the complexity and the size.
Yeah.
That then opens up the conversation of like, well, okay, that's magic. Holy crap. Like we've been doing migrations for 30, 40 years. How did you guys crack the nut here? And well, what else can you do? This is the hook, right? This is the thing that gets people interested in understanding because it builds trust in, right? And so then that's like, well, what else? Well, what happens if I migrate multiple things and I create a connected operating system? So this migration is a way for us to start creating connected operating, which is really where the value is. And so
it's a reflection of the land expand strategy and scale that Palantir has had for a long time as well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it comes back to all I care about is outcomes.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the platform. I don't care about technology. All I care about is outcomes. So I think that comes back to, if that means I have to help you migrate your old legacy systems to get you to that outcome, cool, I'll do that. Right. And so it's like at any cost, we will figure out how to do it. And really the secret sauce here is like, we've built this agentic framework that has the right guardrails, the right tools, the right components, the right context management to be able to look at your entire enterprise and like decomp what you have, like this archaeology of your business, and then actually create the roadmap and actually build the piece to get you to the new state.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
I want to hit you with this question because this is something that we've talked about on the channel before, but I think everyone, including myself, needs a refresher on this. What exactly is the ontology unlocking in terms of value? I mean, we're hearing a lot about AI, agentic systems. You got all these SaaS companies that are struggling in the market because the market doesn't think they're really providing value. You've got growth rates that are coming into question. And then you've got Palantir growing at 70%, showing off that this ontology is actually unlocking real value. Your phone is blowing up. Why is that ontology so important, and why can't other companies do what you guys are doing?
The ontology is, I mean, it comes back to the focus is on decisions, valuable decisions, and I need more than just the data. Everyone else is focused on the data, which I would say is like, I'm going to get my data so I can build a report so I can make a decision. That's like trying to win the football game, right? This analogy, my football analogy, this is trying to win the football game while watching the scoreboard, and Palantir is like the playbook to help you make the calls to win the game.
Right.
And the ontology from a technical level, from like a functional level, it is, focused on how do I model the real existence and being of my business, right, into this digital system, but it requires the data and the logic and actions. And so honestly, there's just been a lack of people understanding like what those functional differences are, how I think about it. And then from a technical perspective, like we've had 20 years understanding all the edge cases, nuance, other components. And so you combine all those, like, plus with the generative AI work we're doing in AIP, like we are moving faster than ever. Like what one FDE can do with AI FDE absolutely blows my mind. Like, they have tens or hundreds of these things running at the same time. Like a consortium of agents running, doing your migration, and like literally can build end-to-end pipelines, business transformation logic, all sorts of things. And I can do that in a couple hours. See you then state, oh, give me feedback. Let me go rerun it again.
Right.
Stuff that would traditionally take weeks, we can do in hours with one FDE.
Yeah, and the exciting thing about this, and I like coming to AOPCon to talk to the customers about it, because the customers and the mixology CEO, which I think a lot of people found some interesting tidbits about what he said in the interviews, was the most interesting thing. He said he paid like 400 grand to Salesforce, and within 3 years they did like 2 different use cases, and he did 10 of those by himself in 17 days with AI FDE. And so I think giving the autonomy back to the individuals to be able to just go and build and get to those outcomes, that is something that not a lot of companies are focused on.
I'm literally building what the customer is asking for in the call while they're talking to me.
Yeah.
And instead of me coming back, well, let me show you something. Let me pull up a demo. Like if this is an existing customer on a new use case, like, okay, we're in your stack with you. Like, let's just build this thing while we're talking.
Let's talk about that, because I think this is an interesting conversation. When you go to close a client and or introduce yourself to a client, what is your process, and how have things changed over the past couple of years when it comes to actually getting the deal to go from, oh, I'm interested, to like, hey, let's have a serious conversation?
Yeah, so I've actually been traveling here to go talk to our partners and other people to help educate them on our platform, how to sell, how to talk about it, how these things work, what the value proposition is. It has dramatically changed from like, who the heck are you? Why did you call yourself Palantir? What's an ontology? To, oh my gosh, I've watched your videos. This is really cool. How do I go do this? So there's one, like there's recognition, there's legitimacy from us in the marketplace, but the excitement that people have to just go build. And it comes back to like, should I spend my time figuring out requirements and trying to describe what I want? Or can I actually better figure out what I want by actually building that scene and getting better feedback? And so what we're seeing on the go-to-market when we talk to customers is, we're changing this from the, hey, let's come back and talk about this, to, well, let's just build it right now.
Right.
That
like
kind of
on the
shocks people.
sales call, which is
on the sales call, yes. and that's a distinct difference. And it's not just like, and there's a difference between like, hey, I'm gonna go Claude code this thing and vibe code it. I want enterprise guardrails. I need the context of my business. I need to have my business components like laid out that the LMs weren't trained about. How does my process fit together? I need human in the loop feedback components. I need security guardrails. I need branching and merging. You need a scaffolding and framework to do this in an enterprise, secure, safe, scalable way to get this to production, right? And so those are the things that we see now that we've been investing in for a long time, that you really have to have in order to do this. I mean, this week alone with the security nightmares out there,
Yeah.
like I think everyone should be like, security is still day zero, even if you're vibe coding. If you can add value really quickly, it doesn't add any value if I get it to production and it's leaking all of my data.
Right.
And that's where Palantir can play, is like, hey, we can actually help you move fast and have the right guardrails in place.
Last two questions for you, Chad, and then we'll get you out of here. When will the dev tier be open in Israel?
I do not know.
Okay, fair enough. It is open now in Japan.
It is open in Japan. Yeah, I'll have to talk to the team and see. There, I know we've been rolling them out throughout the world, but with the situation in the world right now, our focus is on supporting the warfighters. So,
last question for you: what is the energy like in the company? I mean, I was just at AIPCon. A lot of people were excited, motivated. Obviously, I interviewed Karp, and in the midst of how the market is interpreting the future of software, it seems like Karp is more motivated than ever to continue to prove that value creation is the only end goal. How is your day-to-day with interacting with your fellow colleagues in terms of building this company?
I'm the old guy now. And I'm
Dude,
surrounded.
Chad was around for the first database. I like when he told me he was around when the first like cassettes went into the data center. I was like, you were in a data center in the 90s? He was like, yes, I've been in the data center for a long time.
My first job was loading tapes into a mainframe, to debug the code. And there was like FedEx boxes of a customer's backup into a tape drive. That's how we transferred that data, was FedEx.
That's crazy.
So, yes, I'm old. Surrounded by brilliant young engineers. And the fun thing I love about all the meritocracy fellows and other people is this, like, in one sense, you could think they're the naivety of like, they don't even know all these things that I know, which I absolutely love. They're like, what's a data lake?
Right.
I absolutely love that question because they're not encumbered by all the other things. Like I was just got a call. They're like, hey, Chad, can you just text the CTO to give us access to all the data? Like, hey, like, I love it. But that naivety also then opens things up for people like me of like, okay, how do we marry that like ambition, that excitement, that I'm not encumbered by what has been done or how it's been done. They're coming in and looking at problems in entirely new ways. And when you combine that level of just open-mindedness with highly intelligent people and platforms and tools that they can go execute with, that trio, that combination is like freaking magic. It is absolutely wild what I'm seeing people do in the speed, and then also the speed that the progress is progressing. When I have an idea about the product based on what I'm seeing across things, I said something like last Friday to one of our engineers. I just literally was in an Uber on the way here, and I get a Slack message that, hey, here's a demo of what you asked for. Like, let's talk about getting into prod. Like, it's Tuesday. And like, I've got new features I wanted last week. That was like a crazy idea. So those are the kind of things in the environment right now inside of Palantir that is like infectious. It is absolutely wild and fun and exciting, and like, we're moving faster than ever.
Shout out to Sid, Zach. I mean, the conversations I have with some of these employees are incredible. I do want to ask you this real quick as well. A lot of people have asked, like, look, Palantir, the company, has progressed so much. Obviously, there are significant levels of wealth that early employees have created. Do you think there's any level of complacency that you see, or people are just like, we just want to keep winning?
I don't give a shit about that. Really don't. I don't see people. Well, like, what I see is impact in the world. I think we've done a very good job of keeping the missionaries over the mercenaries here.
Yeah.
And people are excited about the access to the problems that we can go help solve that are important in the world. I take that very seriously on the problem spaces that we work on. I know my peers do as well. It's a interesting time to be alive, but we also are in a position to actually have a seat at the table to really help make the best of what we have and what we can do, and the best of our resources, and be stewards of that. And so I really think of that as like, our job is to be good stewards of the resources we're given in this world. And like, there's no better time at Palantir. The money comes and goes, all these things, like, absolutely, like, that's also, what rich people say, right? But like, it's it ultimately comes back to, at the end of the day, the problem spaces are the important piece. That impact is important to us. Yeah, it's great when we're winning. I want to win. That's the only thing that matters. But that winning is for our country, for our people, not just us.
Yeah, and these messages of missionaries over mercenaries, I mean, this is stuff Carp and Sean have been talking about for the past 5 years. And the fact that those same philosophies, which is one of the reasons I love Palantir, is the philosophy of the company is what attracted me to it, have stayed true to the mission intrinsically, regardless of what has happened to the overall business. That's the exciting part of continuing to cover Palantir.
Yeah, no, man. I ran into someone today that has hung out with you, saw you today, and I'm like, man, wild that now in this world I'm running into people in my line of business, in business context, that have hung out with you. And so it's a pretty wild ride we've been on the last few years together. So I appreciate you having me on, brother.
I love it. Chad, thank you. His Twitter is right there in the chat. And hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
I love all the comments too. I don't know whoever was ever making comments about my hands. Thank you.
Oh, they said, are you wearing a Whoop? Is that a Whoop?
Yeah, that's a Whoop.
Okay, Tanner said Chad's wearing the Whoop, so he likes that.
You guys are hilarious. All right, I got to run. I got to get my flight here. We'll see you
later, Chad. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. That is the Chad from Palantir. It's cool stuff, man. It's cool stuff. Chad was actually in New York a couple of weeks ago. Got to go out to dinner with him, and yeah, the excitement in the company is, obviously the valuation of the company has materially increased from 2022, but the excitement, the energy, and obviously now the growth rates are continuing to just stack up, and it's exciting. It continues to excite me. I mean, even the Stellantis partnership, it's so exciting because it's like, I remember covering that in 2022. And when you pull up the receipts and look at the video of me breaking it down, like, no way you could tell me in 2022, when that company was worth $15 billion, as bullish as I was, that in 3 years, it would be a $350 billion company, and they would be expanding for 5 to 10 years, the partnerships that they were initiating back in 2022. I mean, just a wild, 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 crazy journey over the past couple of years. All right, what else do we got going on? Speaking of Whoop, they're raising at like 11 billion. So I guess this thing is growing super fast. 575 million at a $10.1 billion valuation, Series G. I didn't know Whoop was that serious, but I guess it is. And so it looks like they're raising money. Politico says tonight at 9 p.m., Trump will talk about 4 things that he has telegraphed the message over the past 24 hours that the war will end. Number 2, the speech is expected to claim that all military objectives have been met. Number 3, Trump is expected to, quote, scapegoat NATO allies for the ongoing closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So it looks like he will be talking about NATO. And number 4, Trump will continue to make the argument that negotiations have been strong and continue to go well. Oil at the time still below 100. Okay, I mean, I guess time will tell us in terms of how this ends up officially playing out. What do people think? What do people think for tonight? We'll do a pump or dump on the actual speech. I don't think we pump, but I don't think we dump at all. What is he going to say that's bearish, right? By the way, 60% of you said we think we landed on the motor. Text them and ask for a sleep score. I need to do that. I need to start wearing one of these things, dude. I have a Fitbit, but I need to start tracking my sleep score as well. What was I going to ask? Pump or dump on Trump speech tonight? Palantir employees must have bad sleep. Dude, Sid and Zach, I met these guys at the GT. I met them a while ago, but I met them at GTC again. These guys, they work so freaking hard. I mean, they're so passionate too, man. And they got their RSUs at a relatively cheap price compared to the price today. And they that's why I asked Chad that question about complacency. Like, really, when I talk to Palantir employees, they never bring up the stock or the monetary implication. Like, they've done well, but man, they just want to win. Like Palantir really picks some of the best talent on the planet. And, you know, that talent does well. And I heard some critiques of, Palantir only picks Ivy League people. It's like, dude, Chad dropped out of college. Like, Iliano didn't go to some Ivy League. Like, they have a knack for figuring out how to find the best talent. And, you know, that talent really cares about the mission of working at Palantir. Feels like boots on the ground given the time of day for announcement. I mean, if we get a boots on the ground announcement, yes, that could definitely put us red, 100%. I hope that wouldn't happen. Nothing bearish. Did we just forget thousands of troops just arrived in the Middle East? No, thousands of troops in the Middle East does not mean boots on the ground. You got to remember, like they're deploying the troops in the Middle East in case they need to put boots on the ground. And this is, you know, a nuance that I think we've all had to come to grips with over the past week, which is that is not the headline that is 10% down on the S&P. The headline is, you know, boots on Karg Island and Iranian soldiers and American soldiers shooting at each other. That is what gets you a real epic collapse. But, you know, the troops deployed to the Middle East, Marines, that's not, I don't think that's the headline here. So I would hope that doesn't happen. But I guess we'll get more details tonight. Guess we will get more details tonight. Josh says 100% sell the news if he just says what he's been saying. Yeah, and, you know, we faded off a little bit towards the end of the day on the S&P 655, so it's not like we had a massive... Well, we did have a good day, but it's not like we had the absolute best of days. So if we kind of stay flat here, decline a little bit, that wouldn't be the craziest thing. Yes, I'll be on tonight at 9 p.m. I'll stream it. I think it's going to be like 15 minutes, dude. I don't think it's going to be that long, unless he turns it into a campaign speech. I think it's going to be relatively quick. And then we'll be able to move on from it. Okay, what else? What else do we got? A military advisor to Iran's supreme leader, quote, says, until we make the enemy regret and obtain our definite rights. Definite, right? Definite? I'm not even trolling. No, definite rights. No, it's whatever. Definite rights, we will not let it go. He added that the end of the war depended on the supreme leader and the Iranian people and warned the United States against assuming it could act and then leave the region without consequences. He also questioned the idea of negotiations or a ceasefire, saying, quote, what does it mean to talk about the negotiations and a ceasefire in these conditions? Dude, I'm not trolling, bro. It's definite, right? There's no way it's definite. There's no way. It should be definite. But, okay, so this guy's not really saying anything. He's just saying that a ceasefire likely doesn't make sense. Then again, this is the advisor to the supreme leader. This is not the guy we're supposedly negotiating with, which is the president. So, dude, I'm not trying to rage bait. I'm really not. Again, who are we talking to, right? Like, are we actually talking to the president? Are we definitely not talking to the Ayatollah here? And he's not in the negotiations. Are the Pakistanis and the president of Iran talking to the Ayatollah? Like, I also don't even know how their governing system fully works, right? Like, the Ayatollah gets the last call, but there is a president. But like the president can't have any real power compared. Like, if the president wants to get rid of the religious police, the Ayatollah is like going to say no. Like, you can't do that, right? So it is weird who we're negotiating with, but Trump continues to say that whoever we are negotiating with definitely wants this ceasefire. We'll find out 9 p.m. tonight. We are so cooked if this is the guy we get our macro news from. We've already been cooked, bro. We've already been cooked for a month. We finally got a little bit of reprieve. Drinking game tonight. Every time Trump says a certain... What would be the phrase, though, that we drink to? By the way, I didn't drink a lick of alcohol in Los Angeles. So I'd actually be down to drink on Trump over the speech tonight. What would he say, though? Winning? I already started drinking. The Best, Cowards, Oblivion, Millions and Billions. Oh, there's so many terms, bro. Does Polymark or does Kalshi Trump speech tonight bets? Of course. Dude, we are so cooked as a freaking species. I search up one thing and then boom, there you go. Like, and people are betting live right now. We are so freaking cooked as a species. So ceasefire, 55% chance. Hegseth, 52%. Ground, 42%. Look at all these bets coming in right now. $3.5 million of volume. This is why Kalshi just raised that $20 billion. They will take any event and turn it into a gamble. That's incredible. He's going to say April Fool's Day, no ceasefire. Oh my gosh, bro. 9 p.m. he goes live. Stupid people. We already know all of the core Trump terms at this point, which is crazy. It's actually crazy that we know that. Ballroom, yeah, maybe that. Let me see if Trump said anything else about Iran during that Easter thing that he did. Because the first 5 minutes were about Iran. I imagine the rest of it wasn't about Iran, but I will check right now to see. Oh, no, he did start talking about it again. Okay, this is what he said later on in his Easter lunch.
Over there. Tonight I'm making a little speech at 9 o'clock. And basically I'm going to tell everybody how great I am. What a great job I've done. What a phenomenal job. What a phenomenal job I've done. But seriously, if you didn't have me, if you had some different type of a president, you wouldn't have Israel. I know you're big Israel fans. Frankly, evangelicals and Christians, just Christians, I think they like Israel more than Jewish people like Israel, if you want to know the truth. It's really true. I get so many coming up, and I don't know when that started. It did start not thousands of years ago, I can tell you. It started, but the love for Israel is great. You wouldn't have Israel, and you wouldn't have the Middle East either. You would not have. You would have had a nuclear weapon. It started by taking out Soleimani. Then I terminated the Iran nuclear deal that was given to us by Barack Hussein Obama. And then the B-2 bombers, so that stopped it. And then the B-2 bombers, when I came back, I had a 4-year sabbatical. And then I came back, and we had this unbelievable attack, but we had the B-2 bombers. They really stopped it. If we didn't hit them with those B-2s, and that was a total obliteration. If we didn't hit them with the B-2s, you would have had a nuclear weapon. And the only question, whether or not they would have used it in the first hour or the first day. But they would have used it, and the Middle East would have been gone. So Bible sales are now at the highest number in many decades. Did you?
That's crazy, bro. We blew them up, obliterated the country. So Bible sales are at a new record. That is crazy. What world are we? We are in a simulation. I am convinced we are in a freaking simulation. All right, I'm going to ask ChatGPT, what is a good set of phrases to drink to tonight for Trump's address to the nation around Iran? Let's see what ChatGPT says. Let's see. Got it. You're basically looking for a classic take a sip when you hear X type triggers. Tremendous, the best, fake news, America first, nobody's ever seen. Trump does say that a lot. Nobody's ever seen. We rebuilt our military, weak leadership, radical deal, especially bad deal. I mean, he might talk about the Obama nuclear deal as well, right? Very, very double emphasis. Take 2 sips when he references a past presidency. He says, believe me. He goes off script or tells a story. He mentions oil, energy, or gas prices. He talks about respect and being respected again. Finish your drink if he says World War III, directly addresses Iran's leadership. Use a nickname for someone. Give me another 20 phrases. Let's see what else. Total disaster, out of control. We're winning again. Historic, unbelievable. Nobody thought it was possible. Strength. Dude, we need to have a conversation about this freaking word. Weak, disgrace, failed policies. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's pretty much all the stuff that we would expect him to probably say. And the second list is a bit better. Use Claude. Okay, fine. I'll use Claude. By the way, speaking of Claude, I got to show you guys this other meme. So remember I showed you guys this basketball coach staring down the ref? This shit is hilarious, bro. You guys seen this? This is a coach, I think this is in the college basketball for women. Look at the caption. Claude, I already asked you 3 times and you keep getting it wrong. Think like a software engineer and fix this bug. Make no mistakes. I do this all the time to my AI. I will yell at that shit. I will be like, are you dumb? Like, I've asked for this twice already. How are you? And I don't know if the yelling actually, the caps lock changes anything. But it makes it feel like it changes something. All right, let's ask Claude. Let's see what Claude comes up with. Yeah, one day I'm going to regret it, bro. These bots are going to take over. Tremendous, incredible, beautiful. Nobody knew it could be so complicated. Many people are saying, believe me, fake news, any reference to Obama or Biden like you've never seen before. I'm going to ask it for giving me more. ChatGPT was a little bit better on some of the phrases. By the way, and I say this strongly, nobody does it better than us. We have no choice. Frankly, to be honest with you, witch hunt, regime. Okay, I guess we got most of these combined. If you are drinking, there will be plenty of terms to probably drink to. Millions and billions, yep. The U.S. is going to set a tariff on finished steel and aluminum products at 25% as per the Wall Street Journal. That was already... Tariff of 50% will remain in place for commodity-grade steel and aluminum products. The U.S. is going to set a 25%. So that's Trump to overhaul steel and aluminum tariffs. 25% full tariff. This policy replaces the 50% duty on metal content of imported derivative products. I don't think this should affect the markets that much. I mean, this is not that different. If anything, it's different to in a good way because it's less than what it was before. I forgot about tariffs too, dude. I forgot. Dude, one of the biggest Supreme Court decisions happened 3 weeks ago, and it's almost like we don't talk about tariffs anymore because we have a war to analyze every day. I thought they were legal. Well, they're probably justifying them under a bunch of different sections, even if there's not enough legitimacy to keep them in place. Wall Street Journal, finished steel and aluminum products at 25% for the United States. Okay. Well, that's what we got. That is what we got. Lords, thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate it. Drink to NATO. I imagine Trump will definitely talk a lot about NATO today. You know, and the sort of psychoanalysis I'm doing here is that, which I think is bullish, the reason Trump is bringing up this NATO stuff so much, like over the past 2 days, he's just been like, screw NATO, we hate NATO, we should have left NATO, yada, yada, yada. I think they're going on this rant and talking point about that because he knows the war is over. It's almost like he knows he's leaving, he knows he's done, and he wants to now reframe the narrative to how much the United States did such a good job in decimating the Iranian military and how much we did it by ourselves and had zero help from NATO. And he wants to position NATO as the bad actor here, as the actor that was against democracy and fighting for liberation and all this stuff. And they would be okay with Iran having a nuclear weapon, which obviously NATO doesn't want to be framed in that way. But I think that's the logic for why he's going so heavily against NATO, because he knows that he's ready to pull out of the war. And he wants someone to blame for not helping them, achieve any progress. And maybe that's what he's thinking will create an underlying foundation of negotiations with him and NATO to get more things done. How do you know he's leaving? I don't. I'm just assuming that maybe Trump thinks that because the war is over, because he's leaving and because they finished it without any help from NATO, that's why he's becoming so cocky about blaming NATO and, kind of expressing to the American people that these guys aren't really helping us. I do not think for the slightest percentage of possibility that the United States will leave NATO. Not even a little bit would I bet. Not even a 0.01% chance that Trump will leave NATO. There is zero doubt in my mind, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's no way in hell that the United States pulls out of NATO. I just don't think that happens. Trump will talk about it and threaten it, and the Europeans might call his bluff, but like pulling out of the Iranian deal, pulling out of the Paris Climate Accords is different than pulling out of NATO. So I think he'll reference it, but I don't know if he'll exactly do that. Yeah, got to put the blame on someone, right? So that might be why they talk about that tonight as well. All right, is it definite or definite, bro? How to say it's definite, right? Like there's no way, because I'm thinking of
definite.
Okay, that was my first look. That was what I thought initially. I overthought it a little bit too much. I overthought about it. I don't know why I thought deep. Dude, my mispronunciations today are freaking my April Fool's. April, I'm just kidding, guys. Of course it was definite. Of course it was emphatically, not empathetically, obviously. Just making some April Fool jokes today. That's all. Didn't Trump post today morning he wants Hormuz open or else he will bring Iran back to the Stone Age? I am confused. Doesn't that mean he will start the war? Sonal, you have a right to be confused because a lot of us are confused. But in covering Trump over the past couple of years, when he usually says if this, then that, and the predicate of the if then statement ends up being a very aggressive threat, it tends to not really be a real threat, but he wants it to be interpreted as a real threat. And the interpretation of the real threat is enough to get the market to react, enough to get people to potentially react, other parties. But in this scenario, I think he's trying to, make the argument that, look, if you don't sign the deal now, we're going to attack. And he very well might still continue to attack. But I think he's not ready to attack right now in the middle of negotiations, even if negotiations aren't going that well, because they are so close potentially to the finish line, which is what Trump keeps saying. It'll be over in a couple of days at this point. He's referencing days instead of weeks, that I don't think he's going to bomb Karg Island just because the negotiations take a little bit more time. So, no, I don't think that's I can see how that you're confused and that's interpreting aggression towards the war. But the reason the markets didn't interpret it like that is because at this point, the markets kind of know when Trump tweets this stuff, how to better interpret it. NASA says currently working to resolve an issue related to their communication with the flight termination system for the Artemis 2 launch. Oh, wow. Without assurance that this system would work, today's launch is a no-go. Identifies issue with communication to flight termination system for the Artemis 2 launch. Okay, maybe we don't get a launch. Maybe we do not get a launch. I mean, this stuff always happens, right? Right before. And obviously you would not want to launch if you don't have everything officially set and ready to go. Guess we'll find out in about 90 minutes if they actually do it. Give the project to Rocket Lab. I was surprised SpaceX isn't doing this today. I thought SpaceX gets like pretty much every launch. I didn't know this was just NASA on their own here. But looks like this is more NASA than not. Wonder if the launch day was a prediction market. That's a good question. NASA Artemis 2. See, this is why these markets are exploding, bro. You can bet on literally anything. Even if you wanted to hedge your Rocket Lab or something, you could bet that maybe. Yeah, it was. Wait. Why? Hold on. Lunar's down after hours. Why does it say begin in 29 days? Begins in 20. If Artemis 2 launches before April 2nd, then the market resolves to yes. Today's April 1st. I don't know why that says begins in 29 days. But the probability now before April 4th is 91, before April 6th is 83, before April 2nd. Wow, it's a 60%, 65% chance. That's the orange. Where was it before? The orange was at 68. This started a month ago. This started March 12th. This one's only 137,000 in volume. There might be some other markets that are having more volume. But yeah, the fact that the probability went down goes to show how much people will use these prediction markets in so many different ways. Sorry, 29 years into the future. Space stocks after hours are slightly flat. Nothing too crazy. ASTS, Rocket Lab. Not doing too much. Lunar's the one that's getting hit the most. Is Lunar involved in this? It fell to 1891. Now it's back to 1967. Yeah, so Lunar, that one being affected a bit more. Okay, what else? Do we have anything else that's really important here? Talked about the NASA stuff. Anybody else get the email about their student loans? Dude, taxes are coming up. April 15th. Gotta get ready to pay Mr. Taxman soon. Gold and silver. Those moving after hours. What did you guys say on the pump or dump too? Let me pull that up. 56% of you say dump. You guys are bearish, bro. I think we have a lot more people bearish than bullish on this rally. Just based on how you guys have been answering the polls, I think we have a lot more people that do not believe this. And I don't want to say I fully believe this, but I don't know. I kind of think getting back to those Monday lows is not going to be the easiest. Obviously, boots on the ground or whatever could get us there quickly. But we had some decent momentum past couple of days. It's the first time. I mean, tomorrow, if we can go green, it'll be the first time all year outside of January. So basically, in the past 2 months, we've had 3 green days. We have not had 3 green days in a long time. Emotional damage is correct. It's also true. Trust issues. I mean, we can't say we haven't had any Iranian response because the president put out that letter today. The letter said literally nothing. But that letter maybe is enough of an admission that we are ready to come to the table to negotiate. We just want certainty. Oh, that's why Lunar's down. It's not about freaking Artemis, which is why, I mean, I thought that was kind of weird. It looks like they just diluted. Vlad just tweeted. I'm going to look at Vlad's tweet in a second. They just raised some money. 34 million shares. If they got it at $19, how much did they raise? They raised $650 million of dilution. Okay. That makes more sense for why they were down. That makes a lot more sense. After this month, nothing is easy to believe. Trump's DOJ says he's not required to turn over official records. Is Trump still suing the IRS for $10 billion? There's so many lawsuits and things that he's doing. Because that's still a thing, if I'm not wrong. We're beaten down. I definitely didn't think the year would start like this. Now, granted, it's almost an exact replica outside of the actual price action from March and April of last year. March and April was a little bit worse, given Liberation Day with the tariffs, but it's definitely it's definitely like Jan was crazy, just like last year. February, you start to see a sell-off just like last year. March, you really see the sell-off just like last year. And then you have a catalyzing bottom in April, which happened last year. Maybe it happens again, or maybe the bottom was March 30th. And then you recover. And I wonder if that kind of plays out again as well. These last few weeks have been a roller coaster. Who knows what to believe anymore? How have you guys been mentally handling it? Like, do you talk to friends? Do you talk to family? Are you in group chats where you're sending every Truth Social post and you're like, what the hell's going on? Do you just drink? Do you even look at the portfolio? Like, how are people navigating this? Mitt, last night I dreamt you were looking after my puppy. I wake up and a couple hours later you talk about getting a dog in your dream. Random. Digby from New Zealand. Digby, I think you and I just had a moment, and I think your dog was in my dream, and I was in your dream taking care of your dog. That's crazy. That's kind of crazy. Shout out to Digby from New Zealand. Digby, what's the name of your dog? That is actually kind of wild. That's absolutely wild. Zocold says I've been too. See, that's the right answer. I've been too busy to care. So Cold's working. He's just making more money to buy the dip. Hamza says, I did cry last night. Drink hard liquor. Switch the phone off. I have not fully... No, I did. Yes, I read the... I did a whole interview on the Philosopher in the Valley. If you type it up on my channel, I interviewed the author of the book. It's a great book. It really was one of, like... I don't read a lot of books, but this one was like dedicated to Palantir and Karp's life. And so, yes, it is a great book. And I did interview the author of it. Mate, your streams help me. I appreciate that. Hopefully it is some background noise and a little bit of a form of escapism for everybody. Chell says, I don't care. I'm young. Dude, who was I talking to recently that just turned a bit older? One of my friends that just had a birthday. And yeah, they were just talking about how they're getting older. And I was like, dude, I'll be there soon. I'll be 29 in a few months, bro. This whole 20s thing is over. It is done. So this idea of I'm young, I don't have to worry about it. Or I know if you're like 60, you think 30 is still young, but time is of the essence, dude. Time is going by quick. That's the other thing I've noticed, bro. Just like the fact that it's April, it is so, you have so little time on this planet to even do anything. You have such a small period of time. This is why, another reason I'm so excited about the meetups. It's like after you get through the stress of pulling off one of these events, you just like take a minute to breathe and you're like, well, it's good we did that because we have a very little bit of time on this planet to do anything. So it's good that we at least did something. Dude, I'm definitely unk. Some of these memes the kids are talking about, I don't even understand. Graduated high school 2016. Yeah. 10-year anniversary, 10-year reunion's probably coming up. I'm not going to that shit, dude. Yeah, one of my group chats from college. I haven't talked to these people in 6 years, about 6 years. Someone texted the group chat last night, trying to rekindle the friend group, and I'm like, fuck that, bro. I'm just like, I don't want to talk to any of, like, there's some friends I really care about, and I want to maintain that. Dude, what am I going to talk to those people about? Like what synergies do we even have to discuss? Well, we're going to reminisce about the good old days. It's like, and I'm not opposed to that. I have some friendships from the past that I deeply value, but we haven't talked in 6 years. Like, if we wanted to keep up a friendship, all 20 of us in the group, we would have kept it up. And quite frankly, this was one of my fraternity classes that I rushed with, and I was a fan of the people in the fraternity. I wasn't really a fan of my class. My class had some, because you all have different classes of fraternity. So like my big and my grand big and my siblings, I like them. But some of the other people were just like, dude, I don't want to talk to you guys. I just don't want to, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to freaking say. You're cold. Quite frankly, and maybe I'm jaded a little bit because I think a lot of them got corporate jobs in 2020 and they saw what I was doing when I was trying to build media brands, personalities, different ideas. And I started doing a lot of that stuff in public. And I think a lot of them judged me for it. And a decent chunk of them were like, this guy's a fucking loser. And, I was ready to withstand that. But I didn't really see any support from any of them of just like, yo, keep going, love what you're doing. Like, it was more so just like I could feel the judgment. And so, back in 2020, 2021, when I was young and confused and trying to figure shit out, I don't know, there's maybe a chip on my shoulder that was just like, none of them are really doing anything that's interesting anymore. And I'm not saying I live the most interesting life, but things have changed in the past 3 years and things have become a lot more interesting. And that was my goal outside of college, to make a life that was worth living, that was adventurous, that was interesting, being humble, grateful, authentic, do it the right way, get to do what I love every day in terms of performing and building a brand and taking it to the next level. And I just feel like that energy was not there. And in fact, some negative energy was there. And so, I don't know. Kind of don't feel like texting any of them. I'm talking to them. Also, again, I talked about this the other. Dude, I noticed also at these meetups, as the same group of people keep coming through and you develop more friendships. Like, I'm not lonely. I'm lonely throughout the day because I don't have like actual people in my life. But he said no new friends. But like I'm alone throughout the day, but I talk to so many people. Like, I'm on like 7 different phone calls a day with different people. And so it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't feel the necessity for camaraderie. And, a couple of years ago, I really did feel lonely. Like, when I didn't have YouTube, I didn't have this brand, I didn't have multiple people I talked to. I genuinely, dude, did I tell you this? My mom, she wanted to get me. My mom is not a fan of dogs. She wanted to get me a dog in 2021 because she thought I was depressed. She legit thought I was depressed. And my mom is not a fan of that. That's when I was still living at home. So my mom was ready to put up with a dog because she thought I was depressed. I was like, Mom, I'm not depressed. Like, trying to figure shit out. Nothing's really working right now. I'm kind of stuck in a limbo here in purgatory, but I'm work on it. I need a dog to cure my depression. But I really, I was more lonely then. Now I don't feel lonely. I don't really feel lonely. Sometimes you got to let people want to be on JV, stay on JV while you move up to varsity. That is life, and you realize that as you get older. I 100% agree. And I'm not trying to say I'm varsity, they're JV, or anything. I'm just like, it's not trying to sound like that. It's just, as William says, I saw some of my old frat bros the other day and had the driest conversations. Like, what are we going to talk about? Like, what is so interesting, or what are they doing? Like, I'm not saying it has to be up in the stock market, but it's just like, I know what most of them are doing. They're not really doing anything that is super interesting. Like, I connected with one of the people from college. He wasn't in my class, but he was in my fraternity. And he just bought a house, had a kid, and I was talking to him. And, he's a great guy, super awesome, super cool. But he went from one consulting firm to the next consulting firm. And, he just was talking about his career as a consultant. And I was like, that's cool. That's interesting. But it's not something where I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I really need to connect with this person and rekindle what we talked about in college. It's like, no, you're 2 different people. And your life went one way, their life went the other way. So what exactly do we need to talk about that's so interesting or so important? So I don't know. Sometimes also, dude, you also have to have your own mental space for new friendships. Like, if everyone's wanting your attention and pulling you in different directions, you also got to be like, dude, some stuff I just don't care about. I don't need, if the extent of the memories we're getting drunk together at some parties, do you really need to rekindle that? Like, I think sometimes people forget, like, how important is your friendship with someone? How important are the memories you created? How seriously have you built a meaningful connection with them, to the point where if someone wants to reconnect or go to lunch, it's like, do you really need to take the time out of your life to go spend doing that? What is that going to get you? Not even from a productivity perspective, but just from an emotional perspective, outside of feeling like you went out with some buddies and you went to happy hour and you're doing stuff in your life. It's like, oh, I don't care about the perception of that anymore. I don't need people to think that I'm like going out with people. So it's like, some stuff just doesn't matter anymore. Some stuff really just doesn't matter. Did you ask him if he's afraid of AI taking his job? Yeah, he actually said yes. And he's been trying to level up his skills. He's playing with OpenClaw to try to really figure out how to continue increasing his value to the marketplace. But he 100% said this AI taking over job shit is something that people have to think about. Tell them to buy Palantir. Yeah, I don't even think any of them care about stocks, dude. None of them. I don't know. Ryan says your circle and people in your life change at each stage. The high school friends, college friends, young professionals, successful entrepreneurs, family, or it's okay to move on forward in life. Yeah, I mean, look, some of the people that I talk to today, when I get a wife and kids, it might be not a husband and kids, a wife and kids, okay? Things might be a little different, but I think you got to kind of live in the moment that you are. Why do some of those friends have to be interesting? It doesn't have to be interesting. But again, if I'm going to take the time out of my life and I value my time to rekindle a friendship or talk, because look, here's the thing. If we go get lunch and then we come back and there's no communication, there's no talking, there's no texting, there's no phone calls, there's no event. Like if it was just a lunch for the hell of lunch, like I'm sorry, I'm not interested in that shit, dude. I've got shit to do. Like not going out for a lunch just to say, hey, how's life been? It's like, no, bro. Like, is there a point to this? Because like sometimes there has to be a point, especially when you're busy and you have to do shit. If there's not a point, it's just like, all right, I don't know what the value of this is. Shout out to Davis. You're sleeping on the couch tonight. Again, like, you know, and Davis is someone who, outside of all the jokes, has become like a really good friend of mine. And we connected in 2022 based on our mutual love of Palantir. And we've kept up in contact, and we've, you know, actually talked about life shit. Like we get on the phone and we talk to each other. Like there's like Steve, Chris, like Matt, these are people that are in my life that not only provide value to me, but I care about them as human beings. I care about them as, I care about their trajectory, and I want to help them with problems that they have. And I hope they can help me with stuff. There's sort of a mutual respect and friendship. I mean, never mind. Davis doesn't have any respect for me. That is, that is confirmed. But if you care about a relationship, you want to protect it and you want to nurture that relationship. If you don't talk to someone for 7 years and then they randomly want to reconnect, it's like, well, what is the point? I feel like is an important question to ask. I have not watched the Lamar Odom documentary on Netflix. I did see the trailer for that, but I have not watched it. It sounds like you think you're better than them. No, like, see, that, and I understand how that can be interpreted, but that's really not true. I just have more respect for my time, and I don't want to spend the energy reconnecting with people where there's nothing that is valuable to reconnect from it. No one's better than anyone. Whether you go to corporate route, self-employed, like everyone has their own lane. Everyone has their own life. I've chosen a certain lane, fought very hard to get to that lane, and there's different steps along the way to get there. And nothing is objectively better or worse than the other. But I mean, at some point, you also want to reconnect with people that actually have similar interests and ideas. And as Zoe says, friendships, a lot of times, dude, you know, people say opposites attract. Dude, friendships, they require some level of mutual support around ideas. Like if you don't think or talk about the same stuff, it's like, it's very hard to, like, how do you have the friendship? How do you continue being friends? How do you continue discuss? How do you send memes to each other and talk to each other and keep up a casual relationship, even if you're not talking intensely? Like you need some level of mutual importance of things that you think about. And so that matters. Bro, stop wasting your time and get married. All the other casual hangouts are a waste of time. Look, I agree. I want to get married soon. To be honest, I was going to talk about this tomorrow, but I might have a date with someone on Saturday. Davis, I didn't even update you on this one because it happened last night. So Davis, you're hearing it for the first time with the chat. But Davis, let's just say the girl we were talking about, she said yes yesterday, but I'm also freaking confused, bro. So it's actually a long story, and it's a very confusing story. And quite frankly, the date might not happen. Yes, Davis officially got dumped. This is the best April 1st. I hate everybody right now. Okay, so first of all, contrary to popular opinion, I do go on dates, okay? Like, I have gone on dates since I moved out. I have had girls over at my apartment since I moved out. No one's going to believe it. That's okay. You don't have to believe it. It is what it is. I'm not here to force anyone to believe it. I just went on a rant about not caring what people think, so I don't care what people think. But I don't really get nervous when it comes to talking to girls, dude. Like, it's just, and I know you guys are not going to believe this, but like, I talk for a living. I've been talking my whole life. I don't get nervous on dates. I've never really been nervous on dates. Like, I know how to talk to a girl. Like, it's not, again, I know it's very hard to believe this, but it's not that difficult for me to communicate with the opposite sex. This girl, though, that I'm trying to solidify this date with this weekend, I have known her from a distance for the past couple of years. And I really, in the back of my head, if you put a gun to my mind or a gun to my head and said, Amit, do you think you're going to get a date with her? I'd be like, no, bro, like probably not. This is one of the most gorgeous people that I've ever seen. I mean, I am so unbelievably attractive to her. And I was like, no, bro, I'm probably not landing a date with her. Like, I barely know her. She doesn't know who I am. Like, there's no way I'm going to get a date with her. Somehow, in some way, this is not an April Fool's joke. You know, things happen. Davis knows too. We were talking about this at the freaking meetup. This is like the only thing we were talking about. We weren't even talking about stocks. Like, we talked about stocks for like 2% of it. 98% of the time I was talking about our girl things, our girl problems. And somehow I landed this date. Now, granted, I don't know if it's officially happening because it's like confirmed, but not really confirmed. And the whole reason I even brought this up is I'm actually nervous for it, dude. Like, this is the first time I'm like legit nervous. Like, did she hit her head? See, this is why I can't bring up any personal story. No one believes this. But she like, we've confirmed a time and location, but we haven't legitimately confirmed the date. It might be Saturday, it might not be. And now I'm like, it's up in the air. I'm like, dude, I don't know if it's actually going to happen or not, even though she confirmed already. But I'm actually nervous for this because I really didn't think I would get a coffee with her. Like, I really did not think I would get her to say yes to going on coffee with me. I didn't even think she would see my message, quite frankly. I was like, oh, she's probably never going to see this thing. And dentist office Saturday, 10 a.m. Dude, genuinely, I'm nervous. I showed this chick to my mom. I was like, Mom, you think she's pretty? And my mom was like, yeah, she's really pretty. I showed her my dad. I was like, Dad, you think she's pretty? She's like, she's really pretty. And I'm like, I'm going to get a coffee with her. My mom was like, okay, do what you do. Somehow, some way, she said yes. But again, I don't really know if it's officially confirmed yet. So the point is, I'm actually nervous about that. And I don't get nervous for a date. Like the last time I really got nervous to talk to a girl was back in 2020. How old is she? She's 28. She's my age. And ever since then, like, I've been on dates since then, but I've never gotten nervous. And this one, I'm like legit nervous. I don't know. I know no one believes this, but yes, this is all an April Fool's joke. That's all it is. This is all a freaking April Fool's joke. But again, this goes back to the conversation about like doing shit in life, right? Like, you only have one life. Sometimes you got to ask out the girl. You got to send a message. You got to see what they think. Thank you for the super chat for what's his name. I appreciate it. I can never bring up these stories. Last time I brought up this story, it was like a year ago about a girl. No one freaking believed me. So it is what it is. But I don't know, bro. This one's like, I'm like legit, like, damn, like, this is like, I don't feel fully in control of this one. Like, I feel like she has all the leverage here. And I'm just like, I'm going to go into it and see what we can do. If it even happens, dude. Like, I don't even fully know if it's going to happen. Even though it should happen. But then again, if it doesn't, like, it doesn't. And it is what it is. And it is what it is. Give her the grab thesis. Oh my gosh. Who is she, dude? I'm obviously not going to say who she is or her name. Even if we started dating and she became my girlfriend, I would not. Dude, I'm so big on this idea of like, there are some people that have their relationship publicly. I can't do that, dude. I would never. I can't. Like, that's just weird. Bro. I can handle all the comments that people throw at me, but I would never want to put, my family or my loved ones or a girlfriend or a wife into that situation. And Tanner does a great job with this as well. I don't think I've met Tanner's girlfriend. I don't think you guys have ever met her. And that's a good thing because, you know, me and Tanner have talked about this. Like you want to keep that part of your life separate. Now, I'll probably talk about it, especially if she annoys me or something like, oh, damn, she was going crazy last night. But I will not bring it up. What's her political stance? Dude, I don't know. I have not even had the first date. We've had a couple days of conversation. I have no freaking idea. But I don't know, man. I don't know. What happens when the guy is nervous? Do they talk too much? You know, part of the reason, you guys are not going to believe this, but part of the reason I think that, I've actually had some success in my life with women is because I'm a really good listener. Like I'm a really freaking good listener. Like I know people think I talk too much, so I don't, but I know how to, I like the way I've been able to have conversations with women is by listening to what they say so that you can have a meaningful response, like a meaningful follow-up question. Like I don't know, ever since, and I think I learned that in high school when I had to debate. Like in order to debate, you have to listen to what the person says so you can find the flaw in their argument, which gives you some really good listening skills when it comes to interpersonal communication. So I actually tend to not talk a lot when this stuff happens, and listen more. But I don't know. I don't even know if this is going to happen. So we'll see. I'll let people know. I'm a good listener equals I tell them I'm a multimillionaire. Dude, money hasn't even come up in any of the conversation. I don't like, dude, that's just corny. That's like telling a girl, like I know you can make jokes about showing your stock portfolio. Like first of all, no girl has ever seen my stock portfolio. That's never happening. Ever. Like ever. Until she's like my wife. Like there's no one's looking at my account. We're not doing that. And second of all, it's like, I think girls want a man to have, like, I think they want them to be not wealthy or not rich, but like well off. But that's not the only thing. I mean, like there's obviously a lot more. And like, there's a lot of guys that have money at this point. Like that's not going to be the tiebreaker when it comes to, yeah, not with this dip. That's not with this dip. So, I mean, I don't know, bro. I don't freaking know. We'll see what happens. This is the first time I'm like legit nervous. If it does happen, like I have not been nervous for a long time when it comes to this stuff. We'll see. Maybe it works. Maybe it works. I will say, I just feel like she's incredibly attractive. Like, just like, goodness, bro, she's absolutely gorgeous. And I'm like, all right, it would be really cool to actually talk to her in person. I was rocking with a mitt when he had 100 subs and looked like a terrorist. Now these girls come in and he's made it and he's choosing them over me. Okay, Davis, I don't even want to get into your business right now. Davis, you talk about having a roster. Davis has a freaking roster. All right. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. Will you be live at 9? Yes, I'll be live at 9. You don't want to let your attraction control you and make bad decisions. Well, I agree, which is why I would like to talk to someone in person. Yeah, because you can always have a physical interpretation of what someone is like, right? When you just look at them. But like, you know, unless you talk in person and actually get to know who they are. And quite frankly, for me, my non-negotiables when it comes to like dating someone is like, I just want them to be very humble and grateful and not stuck up and full of themselves and have a crazy ego. Like, you know, I might joke here and there and be braggadocious sometimes, but at the core of it, if you know who I am, there's a lot of humility instilled in me, and that's how I was raised. And the mentors that I have in my life have kept me very humble and grateful. And I just can't imagine being with someone who doesn't share those values, you know, who like thinks so highly of themselves or is not willing to open the door for someone or, you know, cheaps out on giving a tip. I know I pissed off all the Europeans right there, but you know, like, or like, you know, it's like, I I don't know. Those are things I really care about. They do not have to own Palantir. That's okay. I'm sure she probably hates Palantir, to be honest, if she's liberal. I don't know if she's liberal, but if she is, I'm sure I'll have a hefty conversation. That's the other thing. If she's super liberal and she likes and she hates Palantir because she's heard all the Palantir propaganda, and she's like, you built your brand off being long Palantir. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, the evil company that kills everybody. And I'm like, well, that's not how I think of it. It would just be one of those days where it's like, we have to have a conversation about this, because if you're going to be with me, this is part of my life. We cannot let go of this part. Livia says, let's talk about a successful date. I have one tonight. Okay, dude, weather gets better and now everybody is going out. Honestly, the weather gets better. Now everybody is going out. And I can't believe, dude, if you're on the East Coast, it is gorgeous. Like, I'm going to go for a walk after. It is gorgeous outside. You just want to go and get drinks and have fun and be outside at this point. Donvin, thanks for the super chat. Did she get a glimpse of your port by any chance? Here's covering that coffee. Go get you some broski. Donvin, you need to stop sending these $20 super. You've sent like 15 of them so far. I will click on your super chat. Send like $1. I feel bad. You send $20 every time, but I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chat. But no, she did not get a glimpse of my portfolio. And again, that's like, I don't think that if that's how a conversation starts, hey, look at my Palantir position. Like, come on, bro. That's a recipe for disaster. And my mom has been talking about this lots to me. My mom is really scared that I end up with someone who's essentially a gold digger. And I'm like, Mom, like, I have enough like emotional intelligence to not end up with someone like that. And she's like, yeah, but you don't know. Because I have not had a girl with me since 2020 in terms of like the grind, right? I've not had a consistent relationship. There's been girls in between this time, but there's not been that one girl who was with me when I was like dead broke. So it is definitely one of those things to think about. Does she know you're an internet hero? I don't know, bro. I don't know if she stalked me or if she's went through my stuff. I mean, I feel like if you're a girl in this day and age, like, you're going to look the guy up, and, you know, maybe she has, but then again, maybe she doesn't give a shit. Maybe she doesn't care. I also don't even know how I would explain it, bro. Like, what do you do for a living? I stream every morning and I look at candles go up and down. Like, I need to have a semi-professional way to explain this shit. Why does Amit keep saying she? This was all an April Fool's joke. I don't even know how we got to this conversation, but it's all an April Fool's joke. Burrow got hit by Cupid. He's been talking about this for 20 minutes. I'm just actually really nervous for the first time in like 5 years about a girl. It's the first time in a while that I've been nervous. Who knows? I still don't even know if it's going to happen. So I will let you guys know. Date someone who's MAGA. Dude, in New York, you're not going to find someone who's MAGA. You're not just going to... 99% of the women in Jersey and New York are not, they're not MAGA. So it's not going to be easy. Also, I don't want someone who's just like explicitly, yes, I love Trump. I want someone who's a little bit more neutral and can look at things objectively. I don't want someone who's super, super extreme left either. I don't know if that's too much to ask for someone in the middle. Probably is too much to ask, to be honest. But you're not going to find MAGA in New York, bro. You should be nervous about the Trump speech. Oh my gosh. Don't wear socks and flip-flops your first date. That is exactly I'm wearing right now, dude. I need a new wardrobe, dude, especially with the short hair. I need to lose some weight, figure out my hair situation because it's short, but I still got to figure out what I'm doing with it, and get a new freaking wardrobe. That's what I need to do in the summer. Yeah, back to reality in the next 3 hours. Does she watch your streams? Bro, she barely knows I exist. This was a very random set of events that happened to lead to this potential date. I don't think she watches I really don't think she's spending her Wednesday at 5:40 p.m. watching a stream. Like, I don't think that's happening. But if she is, well, looking forward to the date. Looking forward to it. Do we stay live for this Artemis launch, bro? Dude, I have shit to do. I actually do got to finish some stuff. And we're going to be live again for 9 p.m. It also might not even happen. It might not even freaking happen. Senior Iranian source. Tehran demands a guaranteed ceasefire to end the war permanently. Intermediaries contacted Iran on Tuesday. Discussions were about continuing diplomacy. That's bullish. They don't want a ceasefire. They want this shit to just look at the S&P go green after hours. It was slightly red a little bit before this. Senior Iranian source, no talks have taken place via mediators for a temporary ceasefire. Well, that could be actually bullish because if the talks that have taken place are for a complete end of war, not a temporary ceasefire, then that's even better. Now, if there's been no talks at all, then obviously that's not freaking good. But I don't know. Hopefully. Why is everything bullish? I'm not saying everything's bullish. I'm just saying if this thing's coming to an end, it should be more bullish than not. If is the key word in that, if it's coming to an end. But I don't know. Yes, I'll be live for Trump, 9 p.m. I'll be live. And we will talk about it after. Make sure you don't wear a cap on the date. Dude, I don't even freaking know if it's going to happen. But if it does happen, it'll be exciting. Because it wasn't supposed to happen. There's this happened so randomly. And it started during GTC when I was in Vegas. Like the event started taking place for this to actually culminate. And I was like, damn, that is crazy. Did not expect it to play out that way. But also, you again, as I get older, you can't get too emotionally attached to something happening, whether it's a stock going up or getting the girl on the date or, like the meetup in Los Angeles being absolutely perfect. You got to be emotionally attached to the ambition of trying to do your best. That's a bar. That's a freaking bar. But you can't be emotionally attached to the idea of it being perfect. And if it's not perfect and it's messed up and something bad happens, your life is so short to worry about all the things that went wrong. You move the fuck on. That's it. That's it. So there's nothing else. Like the time spent complaining about this shit. Like, it's like life is so short. It is here one day and gone the next. And you've got a very small framework of time to try to do stuff, including asking out the girl or, trying to build a YouTube brand. You got to just go for it. Would you buy Snap here at 1.1 PS? No. I know it got a pump today because of that freaking investor activism. I almost bought it at 430 though. It's at 490, so it would have been a good move. But it went to 350 before it went to 490. I might have sold at a loss. I might have been scared of the trade if I was bag holding it. But no, dude, Snapchat's got some fundamental problems around stock-based comp and monetization. The valuation is not even a question here. It's like the actual problem with the business itself. This is why you need to go skydiving. So Mike, shout out to Mike. He offered to take us skydiving in LA, and I said no. I signed up to pay to go skydiving back in 2018, and then the weather got bad that day. That was for my 21st birthday, and so I never ended up going skydiving. And now I'm kind of scared to go skydiving, to be honest. I'm kind of scared. So, I kind of want to go skydiving, but I'm also like, dude, I don't freaking want to go skydiving anymore. Because, what if, the parachute doesn't open? It's like I died going skydiving. It's like there's probably a easier way to have lived a life without. And it's just crazy because it's like, dude, the chance of you getting into a car crash are higher than you dying from a skydive. But then you think about it and you're like, fuck, dude, what if, I don't want to go that bad anymore. When I was young, I wanted the thrill and the exhilarance of jumping out of the plane and feeling the planet. And I respect so many people that embrace that level of, exuberance. But now I'm like, bro, I have a portfolio to manage. Like, I need to freaking make sure that shit keeps growing and is protected. I'm not trying to fucking deal with death. Amit, don't do it. You will see that the earth is flat. That's crazy. That is actually crazy. First date with the girl skydiving. Dude, I think a girl would be creeped out if you were like, let's go skydiving on the first date. Like, there would be some girls that are like, oh my goodness, this guy's so spontaneous. But I think there'd be other girls that'd be like, I just met you. Like, we're not jumping out of an airplane together. Maybe like a fifth date. Make the first date memorable. Okay, but you also have to like know them well enough to the point where it's not insane or creepy that you're going all out on a first date. I don't know. Yes, except the chances of dying in a skydive go way up if you actually do skydive. That is fair. That's also very fair. We went skydiving at Paris Valley in Cali when I was 26 and someone died on the next jump. That's crazy. Is there a story about this, bro? Was this in 2024? I see an article on. Was this in 2024? But was this August 2024? Or is this further? Or is this a while ago? August 2024. A student and instructor died. Killed in hard landing near Paris. Not Paris, California. Perris. I mean, not Paris, France. Paris, California is what, right? That's in California, right? Paris Valley? Or am I wrong? Yeah, it's in California. That's California. It was 1996. Okay, well, it looks like this Paris Valley place has some issues. I'm 56 years old. Damn, 30 years ago. The next one, someone died. That's crazy. Do you pay for the first date? Yes. As a guy, you always got to pay for the first date, dude. You have to. It's not even a question. It's not even a question. You say, oh, let's split the bill. I mean, get out of here, bro. There's not even you don't even have a shot. You don't even have a chance. It's just not. It's not even like a I don't know. It's not even about chivalry or anything. Chivalry, however you say that word. It's just like you got, as a man, you got to do it, bro. I feel like she just immediately is like, no, there's too many other options of people that will pay for it. You pay for all the dates until you put a ring on it, in my opinion. Dude, I got to pull out the real gold card. I have the real gold version of it. And then when she's not looking, I got to switch it for the fake gold version of it so I could actually pay for it. You're overthinking this date? Yes, you are right. I am overthinking this date. And it's so stupid, and I know. But, like, I'm genuinely nervous about this one. Usually I'm not. Seriously, I'm usually not nervous about this shit. A first date is just talking at the end. Like, if you know how to talk to someone and you understand the dynamics of communication, nothing is that scary. But if you're actually low-key nervous, then if it even happens. Air fried steak it is. That is correct. Air fried steak. Okay, do we have anything else going on? 9 p.m. is the Trump thing. Markets are flat. Dude, I really don't think he's going to dump us. I really don't think he's going to dump us. Axios. Trump will be confirming the end of the military operation in Iran this week. NASA troubleshooting battery issue with moon rocket. What do we think they're going to actually launch this thing? Looks kind of sus right now. If they have any issues, I imagine they don't want to do it. Oh, Mike's here in the super chat. There, here, I see Mike. Chicago, we'll arrive at the meetup skydiving, my brother. Mike, I'm scared to skydive. You, Davis, and Arthur can do it. I'll record you guys from the ground where my feet are. He's gonna send a sky. I will be very supportive in your endeavor to skydive, Mike. I will be happy for you skydiving. I don't know if I'm. Dude, imagine I die before the meetup, bro. The day before the meetup, I die in Chicago, and the headline's like, "Yeah, Amit jumped out of a plane, and you kind of can't make the meetup anymore." If that does happen, you guys better enjoy the meetup still. Steve better take over and run the meetup. I've skydived. My biggest fear is heights, and I really don't have fears. I tremble on a ladder. I would go again. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Davis says I can handle the dude. Davis said, bro, when you can't go live, just give me the stream. I'll manage it. And I'm like, bro, if you're ready to manage the stream, be my guest. That's why you guys are like, oh, find a replacement when you're gone. It's like, it's not that easy to do that. You can't just find a replacement to manage the madness that is the stream and keep it going in a succinct way so that people feel like they're getting value and they are enjoying it. Like it's one of those things about media. It's like, if you're the brand, you've got to create the media. If you can't create it, then there is no brand, there is no media, there is no business. That's why media businesses are horrible businesses to invest in, because there's no multiple you can attach. There's nothing scalable about it. Unless you create a network and then have other talent, but that's like just so ew. It's like so corporate to me. It's like, I don't want to have guests and talent underneath me that I have to manage. Like, I just want to do my own thing, and I want to have more contributors on the show and stuff like that. But you kind of got to be ready to do it every single day. All right, so that's it. I'll be back for 9 p.m. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's good. I really don't think we're going to dump. About 50% of you think we are going to dump. Hopefully we don't. And if we don't, then maybe we'll be okay. Maybe we'll be okay. S&P is still up after hours, 655. It was a good day overall. We'll see if this Artemis launch happens. And then probably like 8:50, I'll be live. And then 9, maybe 9:10, we get the Trump speech. And then we'll keep going from there. Yes, 48 hours of glory continues, hopefully. Hopefully. Let's see. We got tomorrow. We'll see if there's a shot. If this momentum can continue. Yes, we'll be on at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll be on for the market open. I mean, it's probably 9 to 10. I think Trump's going to talk for 20 minutes. Then we'll talk for 20 minutes analyzing it, and then we'll be done. So it shouldn't be a super long stream, but we'll be on at 9 p.m. Eastern. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I will see you guys in a couple hours. Bye, everybody.